Okay, so we begin now formally. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, good morning, good evening to all of you who have come from different parts of the world and who have taken the time and sacrifice to be here. Vidya, we are happy to see you once again from England. And those of you who are from India, we know it's very early, it's 5 a.m., our presenters in particular. Unfortunately, the COVID pandemic is still with us, and the safest place to be is at home as much as possible and when necessary. But wherever you are, wash your hands regularly and sanitize your environment. In public places, please keep your social distance and wear your face mask. Ladies and gentlemen, the mission of this forum is to bring the Indian diaspora in the Caribbean closer together for intellectual discussions, unity, solidarity, and empowerment. Every Sunday night on one platform at this time, following the Black Lives Matter movement. We are delighted to learn that an agreement is going to be signed between Guyana and Suriname for a bridge to be built across the Quarantine River. This signing is expected to take place when the president of Guyana, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, visits Suriname for that country's independence anniversary. Suriname will celebrate its 45th year of independence from the Netherlands in 1975 on Wednesday, 25th of November next month. We plan to have a Zoom meeting on the topic on the preceding Sunday. Please let us know if you are interested in becoming a speaker or a discussant on that commemoration of the 45th anniversary of Suriname from the Netherlands. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a weekly forum being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center Company Limited. It is a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. We are dedicated to highlighting and discussing issues and events that impact mainly Indo-Caribbean people in the region. We believe that they and their views are often marginal or marginalized in the mainstream media and in formal discourses and in public groups, organizations, and institutions. The topics of these discussions are mainly on or about Indians, but these meetings are not for Indians only. This platform welcomes all, regardless of ethnicity. This forum follows the Black Lives Matter movement, whose mission is to eradicate inequality, injustice, discrimination, and systemic racism. This forum is international in scope. It seeks to provide voice and visibility to a group that is an ethnic minority in the Caribbean. This meeting would end at 9 p.m. That's Trinidad time, which means that it's going to run for an hour and a half. For legal purposes and to avoid lawsuits of slander and defamation, we hereby state that the views expressed by presenters and participants are their own and do not necessarily represent those of Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center Company Limited. Our moderator tonight is again Dr. Kirti Algu from Suriname. She will rotate with moderators Charlene Maharaj and Sadhana Mohan whenever they are available. Everyone here, including me, has been volunteering as a form of community service. Dr. Kirti Algu is a young graduate of Anton de Kom University of Suriname, where she works as a researcher in the Institute of Graduate Studies and Research. She obtained her PhD in 2017, having done her dissertation on interreligious relations in Suriname and Guyana. Currently, Dr. Algu is combining sports, specifically martial arts, with her academic career. Dr. Kirti, welcome, and please take it from here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahabi, for providing me with this opportunity and platform. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening from Suriname. This public meeting will take the form of a panel discussion. Each speaker will talk for 10 minutes in the first instance, followed by a Q&A session. And after all the speakers have spoken, the floor will be open for brief questions, comments, and contributions. Please mute your microphone unless you have to speak. The microphone icon or symbol is at the bottom left corner of your screen. The background noise can be very disturbing. Our topic tonight is Indian Diaspora Studies, Programs and Centers in Universities in India. Linkages, opportunities, scholarships, and exchanges for writers, researchers, students, teachers, and lecturers. People of Indian descent who live in the Caribbean and in the Caribbean diaspora are descendants of the jahaji indentured workers. They were brought by the British, Dutch, Danish, and the French to the West Indies from 1838 to 1917. They now number about 3 million people in the Caribbean, including Jamaica and Belize. Indians are the largest ethnic minority group in the English-speaking Caribbean. We tend to forget that there are people of Indian descent also living in Guadeloupe, Martinique, and French Guiana, and in the smaller Caribbean islands. In our ancestral homeland in India, there are Indian Diaspora Studies, programs and centers in several universities, notably in Kerala, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Gujarat, and Magad. They focus on global migration and the Indian diaspora in the humanities and social sciences from multidisciplinary perspectives, including history, literature, anthropology, politics, economics, and international relations. Now, it is time for me to bring on our first speaker. He has sent his presentation in the form of a pre-recorded video. He is His Excellency Arun Kumar Sahu, the High Commissioner of India to Trinidad and Tobago. Previously, he was a Deputy High Commissioner of India to Canada. He holds a master's degree in War in the Modern World from King's College in London and a master's degree in linguistics from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. His Excellency speaks Odia, English, Hindi, and Chinese, and writes poems and essays in his spare time. Let us see this 5-minute video now. Dino?
You can share.
Yeah, you have to show this video, Dino.
Oh, that video.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, one second. Is this it? No, sorry.
No, not that video. Not the one with the High Commissioner.
I don't have that video.
Yeah. Send it to you separately.
Oh.
Yesterday. So
Yeah.
we're sorry about these little hiccups. It happens. Check your email. I sent it as an attachment. It was maybe Friday too. Yesterday being Saturday.
instrumental songs.
Well, let me welcome so many of you. I see Brian Ramphal is here. Good to see you, sir, all the way from California. And Surajay, nice to have you. You did promise that you'll be on. And Farzana, nice to see you again. So many people from far and wide. Mansraj is always here, or often here. And Nestor from Belize and Sylvia from Belize. And Dr. David Debbie, nice to have you from England at waking up at this hour. And Dave Gosain is here. So many wonderful people. Too numerous to mention. How is it going, Dino?
I am not. Is it a YouTube link?
Yes, I sent it to you. You want to? Let's have the speaker, and then we come back to that. Meanwhile, you'll find the email.
Yeah.
Right. So, QT, why don't we go to Rabidas, who is here?
Yes. Okay. While Dino is looking for the video, we will continue with our program. Please allow me to invite our second speaker, who is Dr. Ujjwal Rabidas, an assistant professor at Amity University in Uttar Pradesh, from where most of our grand and great parents came. He obtained his PhD in Caribbean Studies from Jawaharlal Nehru University. He has undertaken field research in the Caribbean, Fiji, and Australia. Dr. Rabidas teaches courses in international relations, India's foreign policy, and political science. Dr. Ujjwal, the microphone is yours for 10 minutes. Everyone else, please mute your microphone. Dr. Rabidas, are you there?
He was here a short while ago.
Yes, we saw him.
Where is he? Maybe he has some internet. Dino, did you find the video?
Nothing yet. No,
All right. I'll try and send it to you. Where is Rabidas? He was here. I saw him. I welcome him. Okay, well, we will go on with our next speaker. We have these hiccups strangely today. So we'll go on, move to Professor Mohapatra.
Yes,
So, Kruti, yeah.
Okay. We are flexible, so we move on. Allow me to invite Professor Atanu Mohapatra. He is of the Central University of Gujarat in Gandhinagar in Gujarat. He is an associate professor and chairperson of the Center for Studies and Research in the Diaspora. He did his PhD at Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Professor Mohapatra has written many books, book chapters, and research articles. His latest book is entitled Nation, State, and Ethnicity, a study of ethnic Chinese in Indonesia after independence. Professor Atanu, please speak for 10 minutes.
Right, thank you, Kirti. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, so now, it's very good morning in India. This morning, 5 a.m. and good evening to all participants in Trinidad and across the country, across the world. I could see many wonderful people Particularly, I'm very much thankful to Professor Mahavir for inviting me, and I was a little skeptic whether I could join in the morning or not because it's too early, 4:30 I had to wake up, and I didn't know whether I could. So then in advance, I tried to get apology from Professor Mahavir, and he said, no, please try to join. So since I was instructed, so I thought, no, I should be. So I tried. After a long time, I could wake up at 4:30, maybe in a year after. So good morning to all of you in India, and I am thankful to all of you to hear me and give an opportunity to speak on Indian diaspora centers working in India. Uh, if I talk about the Indian diaspora in Indian, particularly the studies we in India, which has been focused on Indian diaspora. In India, we have about 4 specialized centers on diaspora studies. That includes our Center for Migration and Diaspora Studies. And as I said, my center is Center for Diaspora Studies. And besides, in Gujarat itself, there is one more center, that is Center for Migration and Diaspora Studies, under the Study Abroad program of Gujarat University, that's in Ahmedabad. We locate in Gandhinagar, Gujarat, which is the capital of Gandhinagar, Gujarat. And there is one more university called Gujarat University, where a study abroad program is being run, and that's being headed by Dr. Nirja Arun Gupta. Then Center for Migration and Diaspora Studies, that is in Antarashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalaya, Wardha in Maharashtra. That is one of the uniqueness of this university is that is entirely taught and worked on in Hindi. And then we have one more center for Indian diaspora studies in Hyderabad. It is the UGC Special Center that's in Hyderabad, Telangana. Earlier it used to be Andhra Pradesh. So now these are the primarily dominant areas where we have seen a particular center has been named and has been working for many years. In my center, it has established in the year of 2011, Center for Diaspora, we call it the Center for Diaspora Studies, with the objective to study and critically engage with issues of global migration and diaspora from multidisciplinary perspectives and produce quality research and knowledge for academia, government, and society. As for my center is concerned, we have the largest diaspora center in India, particularly in terms of teaching faculty and students doing research on various aspects of diaspora. In my center, Center for Diaspora Study, which is an independent center, not associated or not working under any school. Earlier, it used to be under School of Language, Literature and Culture Studies. In 2017, it was separated and it was made a special independent center with 5 assistant professors and me as a chairperson of the center. And the uniqueness of this center is, as we know, as Kirti also indicated, Professor Mahavir also indicated, diaspora is not limited to only 1 or 2 areas. Rather, it has a very multidisciplinary approaches. As a result, our center with 6 faculty members, they are from different field, different domain of experts. For myself, I'm international relations and media linking with diaspora. Then all faculty members, 2 of them are from English literature, and 1 is from international relation, another is specializing on migration, and another is in sociology. So we try to cover almost all aspects, particularly on different areas of diaspora research. As you know, diaspora studies is a multidisciplinary area that has emerged in humanities and social sciences, dealing with the study of migration and its cultural, literal, social, demographic, political, and economic impact. The history of Indian diaspora goes back to ancient and pre-modern times, though it has become a subject of study only in recent times. The overseas Indian community has emerged as the soft power promoting India's international relations as a global ambassadors and contributing immensely to the social, economic, intellectual capital of India. A sizable body of literature on diaspora now exists both in the forms of scholarly writings on the historical, anthropological, sociological, cultural, demographic, political, and economic aspects. And also, literary writings includes novels, bibliographies, autobiographies, diaries, short stories, dramas, poems, and films. Diaspora studies is an area of interdisciplinary study, cuts across several disciplines to be a site of multiple discourses and orientations. The center with a multidisciplinary framework studies and addresses the multi relations and converging contours of diaspora. The center provides an excellent academic environment with a focus on participatory teaching and learning, use of ICT in teaching, periodical revision and updating of syllabus, field of exposure for students. Particularly, we take the students on different field work, different issues, study of field work in India, within India. So far, we have confined to only India because of constraint in financial resources. The center invites scholars and visiting professors from prominent universities in India and abroad to deliver lectures on varied aspects of the subject, and it provides a platform for the students and faculties to learn the emergent issues in the subject. The faculty members of the center have their backgrounds in humanities and social science and have specialization in diaspora and migration. Students of the centers are from different disciplinary backgrounds and regions and communities. Very important, being a central university we in India, we have catered to almost all parts of this country, and different, because people are different, students are coming and they're working on different aspects of Indian diaspora, settling in different countries. For instance, one of our students is working on a Marathi diaspora in Mauritius. Two of students, they have completed their research on Fiji, and one is on media and another is on cultural identity. And some students are, and most importantly, one of my student who is working under direct supervision of mine, and he has working on Roma diaspora, and all of them had done their field work in Fiji, in Mauritius, in London. They have, students are always encouraged to go, and they get fund also from ICSSR. And so far, 6-7 students have done their field work also. That's very unique. That's very important point of reference here, because unless and until they don't go and get interacted with the people, so some students, they have done studies taking physical interview, personal interviews, and also and survey. These are the very important aspects of their research students have done so far. And uh, as far as visiting and organizing conferences, we have decided that every year we will have one international conference. So far, we have organized 3 international conferences since 2017. And this year we have organized, during this COVID pandemic, we have organized 3 international webinars. And the last webinar was inaugurated and was hosted with the presence of Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, Mr. V. Muralidharan. And the topic of this international webinar was how the Indian citizens stranded in different parts of the world, they have been evacuated, rescued, the massive evacuations done by Indian government so far. So how it was done, and a brief note of this was presented by Honorable Minister of External Affairs. So coming back to the center, our center is the only full-fledged center on diaspora studies in India. We have almost a full-fledged faculty. The faculties are from different backgrounds, having specializations on diaspora, foreign policy, diasporic literature, diaspora and media, migrations, and so on. The center offers MPhil and PhD program. It offers courses to undergraduate and postgraduate students and other students. Presently, there are 37 students pursuing their MPhil and PhD. I repeat, at present, there are 37 students who are doing MPhil and PhD, and the center has produced about 43 MPhil dissertations and 6 PhD on varied aspects of diaspora, and we cover a wide range of areas on areas in diaspora studies. And in this year, by the end of this October, 8 more students will submit their PhD thesis, and by the end of December 2020, 8 more students will submit their thesis, and the research is going on. So I think there are also other centers which have been, because I have focused largely on my center earlier, in Gujarat also, they have wonderfully done research, carrying out research work on Hindi, because that's an Hindi medium, and it's the uniqueness of that university. Also in Hyderabad Central University, though it is a small center, earlier it used to be a big one, but now it's centered down, and one faculty member is looking after the sociological aspect, sociological expert, and he has been also carrying out diaspora research in Hyderabad Central University. Apart from that, as I said earlier, also there is couple of center also, though they are not directly linked, but they are carrying out research on diaspora. For instance, Center for African Studies in JNU under the supervision, under the chairperson of Professor Ajay Dubey, and also, as I said, in Magad University, and also in Banaras, also in a couple of areas, in Patan, also in Gujarat. One small center used to carry out exercise. You can carry out research on diaspora studies. And as I said, in Gujarat University, study abroad program, so that is very important because students from, particularly from foreign countries, they get an opportunity to study through ICCR, and they are carrying out research on migrants and diaspora on various aspects for diaspora. So in our center also, we have started a foreign affairs cell, which will facilitate the foreign students, or the people of Indian origin or diaspora students, and that has been activated. And this year, probably we might get some foreign students as well in different courses, not confined to only diaspora. Rather, it is open for all, whosoever comes through. But they have to come to ICCR, Indian Council for Cultural Relations in India, Government of India. So I think these are the things related to diaspora studies in India. I thought I should be keeping it to be for all of you. And thank you, Professor Mahavi, for giving me an opportunity. I could see the other speakers also, particularly His Excellency Sri Arun Kumar Sahuji, who has been my super senior in JNU, when I was a student in JNU, and he was my senior. And we had learned many things from him also, directly or indirectly. And it's nice to see virtually after a long time. Before also, and he was also delivered a lecture in our last webinar also, held in the month of September on migration and diaspora issues. So again, I could see him, and it's very nice to see His Excellency Arun Sahuji on the panel. Though I belong to Nodia, Odisha, and Nodia by region, and I could see him, and he was my super senior. Then also Rakesh Pandey, and nice to learn and see Mr. Ujjal Ravidas, who has been working on diaspora issues in MIT University, Uttar Pradesh, and particularly I could see some of the stalwart in diaspora studies. Professor Kesha, Professor Diogesha Gosain, and Kirti always there, and Dr. Mahavi. So thanks, and I'm really sorry if I could miss out some names. And with these words, I stop here, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Atanu Mahapatra. it's a small world, and we can see it here in this network. So everyone, our program got changed a little bit. We will continue with the presentation of our first speaker, and the presentation is in the form of a pre-recorded video. I want to ask Dino if he is ready to play that video. Allow me to reintroduce the first speaker. He is His Excellency Arun Kumar Sahu, the High Commissioner of India to Trinidad and Tobago. Previously, he was the Deputy High Commissioner of India to Canada. He holds a master's degree in War in the Modern World from King's College in London and a master's degree in linguistics from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. His Excellency speaks Odia, English, Hindi, and Chinese, and writes poems and essays in his spare time. Let us see this 5-minute video now. Dino, please.
Good morning to all those who are in India. I am happy to address today's meeting on Indian Diaspora Studies programs in universities in India, opportunities and linkages organized by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center in Trinidad and Tobago. It is a commendable initiative to forge long-lasting academic linkages between the Caribbean and India. I understand experts from Jawaharlal Nehru University, Banaras Hindu University, and the Central University of Gujarat will be participating in today's discussion. These are the premier institutions in India that have been very active in diaspora and migration studies and research. It is a golden opportunity for Caribbean institutions to forge lasting academic linkages with them. For the benefit of today's discussion, I would like to highlight a few aspects of the current trends in migration and diaspora studies, especially post-COVID-19. First, how to position migration and diaspora theories. One is to create a single theory or grand theory to the various issues of migration, and the other is to middle range theories which embed migration research in an interdisciplinary approach and linking it to the broader theories of social change. The pandemic has offered new challenges for both. It has exposed new realities of economic arrangements, social institutions, technology gap, digital divide, demography, and politics existing on both international and border movements, making theorization complex and arduous. Second, terms diaspora and modern diaspora frequently to include displaced migrants, ethnic minority groups residing in host countries but maintain strong sentimental, social, and material links with their countries of origin. This way of the scope of the definition of diaspora has posed challenges in appropriate theory building. Third, linked regional studies to the broader theorization. My sense is that unless regional or specific studies dovetail the broad range theories developed across global institutions, they will remain local and may not be very relevant to the broader theorization process. Fourth, dealing the two critical issues of relationship between the diaspora and nation state and the linkage between the diaspora and transnational migration. Fifth, critical aspect of localization of labor. The has triggered countless episodes of xenophobia, as you know, stigmatization, goating, and discrimination directed towards both internal and international migrants. The pandemic was weaponized to spread anti-migrant narratives and call for increased control on migrant movements and reduction of migrants' rights. All these need special studies. Sixth, structural and functional lacuna inherent in national, regional, and global multinational organizations and institutions. The pandemic uncovered the weaknesses of both intra-institutional and inter-institutional cooperation. Regional, sub-regional, and international institutions struggled ties to the occasion, work towards collective cure and remedy. These are some of the new areas for migration and diaspora studies. Seventh, look for research rather than research centers, since resources in every country are limited and it is always difficult for institutions to establish dedicated centers for diaspora studies. One has to piggyback on faculties and researchers and resources in other established centers, departments like history, literature, sociology, international relations, political science, economics, etc., for interdisciplinary resource utilization. Lastly, in the Caribbean context, overgeneralization could be detrimental to quality research. Though indentureship is common, countries in the Caribbean are different with different political, economic, and social dynamics, and they need to be treated individually and selectively. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I wish all success in your academic endeavors. All the best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency Arun Kumar Sahu. And on behalf of the organization, to all the people attending today's Zoom meeting, our apologies for the poor audio quality. Before we move on, I have a small request. Can all participants please type their full name on their Zoom profile for our recording purposes? Our next speaker is already online. That is Dr. Ujjwal Ravidas. Dr. Ujjwal Ravidas is an assistant professor at Amity University in Uttar Pradesh, from where most of our grand and great parents came. He obtained his PhD in Caribbean Studies from Jawaharlal Nehru University. He has undertaken field research in the Caribbean, Fiji, and Australia. Dr. Ravidas teaches courses in international relations, India's foreign policy, and political science. Dr. Ujjwal, the microphone is yours for 10 minutes. Everyone else, please mute your microphone.
Thank you, Kirti. I am not able to share the my screen. If it can be enabled from my side.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Kumar.
Dino has to allow
clear.
him to share screen. It's clear now, yeah. Okay, Dr.
So
Ravidas, go ahead, share screen.
Okay. Yeah, the screen is visible, Dr. Mahavir.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. Okay, so what I will be presenting to the group is, like, in last 2 months, I have tried to understand the diaspora studies in terms of visiting the websites of the centers and collecting few information and categorizing that into some useful rubrics that I will display. Now, some of you have already seen it elsewhere. I can see some participants in this group. So I'll be repeating some of the points of the last program when I presented this slide. And I will add few other points which are important in the discussion context. So, Just a moment. Okay. Let me first share the information about the diaspora study centers that we have in India. And then I will talk about some points which are relevant for our discussion. Like I visited some of the centers, and that includes the Center for Study of Indian Diaspora. Like first, let me tell you these criteria that I tried to filter through these information, like the year when the institution was established, and what kind of institution it is, like UGC or some state university, and the research mandate, what kind of research they're doing, and the academic strength in terms of nature of study, like MA, MPhil, PhD, or no such study, and the strength of the faculty and students, and the location. And location is also important. So at the end of this, I'll try to make some general points that may help us in the discussion. So first center that you see is the Center for Study of Indian Diaspora, established in 1996, and it is a UGC area studies program in the University of Hyderabad. The research mandate, the academic mandate of this area is to research on the historical, contextual. It is a broad academic mandate, unlike the others. That's what briefly I can tell. It has MPhil, MA, MPhil, PhD programs on Indian diaspora with 2 faculties. Student strength is not that much clear because almost any center you visit about this university will show this strength of student for 450. So I have a doubt about that. And the location is Hyderabad. You can see from the name. The other center that we have is Center for Diaspora Studies in 2012 establishment, which is in Punjabi University, which is a state university. It's a UGC area studies program. I'm highlighting UGC because that is something important. UGC and the central universities in India have actually led the establishment of these institutions in India recently. And the focus of this diaspora center is Punjabi diaspora. Why I'm focusing on these, I'll tell you when I end these slides. It has 2 faculties and no other information available. It's located in Punjab and the place is Patiala. The third center I visited is the Center for Diaspora Studies, established in 2011 in Central University of Gujarat. And Professor Mahapatra actually comes from that center. So I'm happy to hear also what he spoke. And the focus is the global and Indian diaspora both. So it focuses not just Indians, but also other than Indian, very large, broad mandate. They have MA, MPhil, and PhD program on diaspora studies with 5 regular faculty. And according to the website, it's 30 students. So maybe it's not updated because I heard Professor Mahapatra telling they have 30+ students. And the location is Gandhinagar in Gujarat. Other center I visited is the Center for Diaspora Studies, established in 2012 in Central University of Kerala. And the academic interest and the mandate is that the Indian diaspora and diaspora from Kerala, so they have a focus from Kerala. And interestingly, they also intend to prepare a PIO data bank. That's something interesting and not cannot be found with every other centers of diaspora studies. Now, other informations were not available in terms of academic strength. When I visited online, the place is Kasargod in Kerala. 5th is Diaspora Center for Diaspora Studies in the University of Kerala, which is a state university. And the focus academic mandate is global migration and diaspora, and that of Kerala. So they also have a particular focus on Kerala. Other information was not available apart from they have 1 faculty, and the location is Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala. 6th one, and I will end here, and then I will come with some points for our discussion. The sixth is constructions of home and belonging, then Indian Diaspora Center. So this name also is something unique if you see the other centers in India. So constructions of home and belonging, Indian Diaspora Center, established in 2012. And the kind of institution it is a collaboration between European Union's Marie Curie Innovative Training Network and the University of Mumbai. And so, and the academic mandate is function as a resource center on diaspora studies. So this is also has maintained somehow uniqueness in terms of diaspora study centers in India. Now, other centers were not able, other information were not available, but it's located in Mumbai because it's collaborating with University of Mumbai. Now, after visiting these centers, these are some conclusive information that I can share with you that's coming out of this survey, if I call it a survey, and that is that the oldest diaspora study centers is located in University of Hyderabad in 1996. Though somebody had pointed that it is not in Hyderabad, but it is Gujarat, Patan. But then when you visit online, then no such information was available about the center in Patan, Gujarat. So I have not included that. Also, I have not included the study center from Goa because maybe that could not take off finally. Now, another point is the diaspora study centers expanded in India in 2011-12. So this is the particular period when we see mushrooming of Indian diaspora study centers in India. And these are the centers where the leading role is played by UGC and central universities. Except Mumbai and Kerala, there are state universities. In terms of geographical location, that in India, it is the south where we found we get maximum numbers of study centers. In the west, we have in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa is actually cannot be counted. They are written there because a lot of discussions about opening a center, but that could not take off finally. From the north of India, I can locate only one study center, which is in Punjab, and that's a state university. There's no central university, but that state university program is funded by, again, UGC. And if you see from the east side or north east of India, there is no diaspora study centers available. So if you exclude Punjab, then entire north, east and northeast, we don't see a center of that kind. Now, there are a few impressions I gather in this survey. That is that this survey is not concluding that there is no research being done in the northeast or northeast of India, and there is explicit absence of diaspora study centers. And this point is, I think, important for us, particularly for this forum. The area from where most of the people migrated were indentured into Fiji, the South Pacific and Caribbean, the Bhojpuri area. And for our understanding, if I use the word Girmit homeland, this is the place there is no single diaspora center studies can be located. So this is something interesting to know and to discuss. What is the reason? Now, there could be a correlation that between these diaspora study centers established in India, these are the places which are considered relatively wealthy, rich, and they also have relatively good educational facilities. And those are the places, if you compare in terms of the kind of problems we have, corruption, then also the north part is considered relatively more corrupt. So there could be some correlations, but these are at the level of impressions I'm talking. Now, this is the last slide that I want to focus, and that is that I feel that we have to talk not just about the Indian diaspora study centers in terms of centers, but we have to go beyond that. like I heard talking our excellency that focus on the research and not the research centers. You may not get that everywhere. We have university like, why I'm saying that we need to go beyond diaspora studies programs in terms of the centers and UGC supported that we're talking about. Because then you will miss the universities, the old universities like JNU, DU, and BHU. And that is where you get the flavor of social science research. And these are the universities did research when this word diaspora was not that familiar in Indian parlance, in the academic debates that we have, in the seminars that we have. So diaspora word is actually becoming popular in India in last 10-15 years. So we might miss if we only focus on the studies, the diaspora study centers in India. Because there are other centers like in JNU, BHU, and DU, and they have all kinds of centers, sociology, history, economics. They have done studies on Indian diaspora and have also done works on indentured diaspora. And they have done it with deep academic interest without special grants from UGC and other kind of grants. And if you want to have a historical understanding and the comparative approach of the kind of study done before and now, and the diaspora located in South Pacific, Fiji, and in other parts of the world, in Europe, for example, so to have that historical and comparative approach is important. That we have to go beyond the diaspora programs and the study centers, and how we understand the kind of work, how we understand the importance of these centers and the comparative historical approach. We have to locate the kind of research they are doing and the publication in terms of quality. And this is important, I feel, to qualify the Girmitias as diaspora. I should end here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ujjwal Ravidas, for sharing this information with us. We had a third speaker on our program, that is Dr. Rakesh Pandey, but I'm not sure if he is in our virtual room. Dr. Kumar, can you please help me if he is still in our room? Dr. Rakesh Pandey?
I don't think he's here.
Okay, so now then we should move on to the Q&A session. The floor is now open for questions, comments, and contributions. They must be short, no more than 2 or 3 minutes, and all the speakers would be given 3 or 4 minutes at the end of this meeting to respond to your active participation. Let's take all the questions and comments first now, please. You can also participate by writing in the chat box at the bottom of the screen, which will be seen by everyone. But please, we have to know who you are. So please identify yourself by name and your country. As I said in the beginning, please write your full name on your profile. We would like to identify everyone by name for recording purposes and for a demographic survey. If your name does not appear on your profile on your screen, please click the 3 dots in the blue box on the top of your picture and type your name. As Dr. Kumar said, this meeting is being recorded and would be uploaded later after editing on YouTube for posterity. This meeting is also being streamed live on the Facebook page of Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center Co. Limited and other social media networks. Please show respect for others and their point of view. Only those speaking should unmute their microphone. Who would like to go first?
The question. All right, sorry. Good evening. Can I ask a question or clarification?
That is what makes the magic happen.
Well, hello.
Oh.
Yes, we're hearing you, Tara. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, okay. Dr. Ravidas, I find that presentation very interesting. And I'd like to know if he can throw some additional light on why from the area where most of the immigrants come to the Caribbean. At least 7 of every 10 immigrants came from the North provinces, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, etc. Why was it that the center was not established here for diaspora studies? I mean, he did point out the correlation between wealthy states taking hold of the academic side of it, but I would like to have some further elucidation of this. If you can offer some suggestions why that happened, why that particular development.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there other questions? Dr. Rabidas, we will respond to the questions at the end. Are there other questions, comments?
Question, please.
Yes.
Question, Vasan.
Yes.
Yeah. Professor, is the word diaspora also extended to recent people who left India, like NRI and all these IT people? How this word diaspora is defined in your mind? Because I think diaspora really, for me, is indentured ship, but somehow it get confused.
Okay, noted. Thank you, Mr. Wasan Ram. Are there other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Albert from Belize.
Yes.
Our wonderful professor Rabidas said something about the people from the north are more corrupted. I've heard this before, and if he could shed some light on why that is the case. It sounds like Dr. Singh. It sounds like we came from a corrupted bunch. But I'm just.
I think I should respond now. I've got three questions, so I should respond now. Okay, I should.
Just a minute. Allow me to take some questions, please. Otherwise, it will be difficult to moderate. There's a question in the chat box by Brian Ramphal. How many Indian diaspora? Oh, sorry. I think Brian Ramphal didn't complete his question. Brian Ramphal, can you please complete your question? Whom else wants to ask a question or make a comment? Okay.
I thought Keva had a question.
All right.
Kishav, Professor Kishav has a question. So unmute. He has to unmute his phone.
He had his hand up.
Unmute your phone, Kishav. Unmute. Yes, go ahead now.
I have a question. Can I ask now?
Yes.
Can I ask the question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, the reason is that what are the scope of diaspora studies in Patan? Because I was the principal of Science College and Science College in Patan. I know every history of it. And is there any center in Patan, Gujarat? Question for Ujala, Dr. Ujala.
Okay.
Yes, I'll respond to you.
Okay.
Any scope?
I'll respond to you.
All right.
Madam Chair.
Dr. Keshav, that was your question?
Oh.
Okay.
I got his questions by Professor Keshav, and I will respond.
Okay. We will respond at the end.
Madam Chair.
We have a few minutes to go for taking all the questions, and then the speakers will get the opportunity to respond to the questions. I'm just taking a look at our chat box, and there is a question for all the speakers. Does the Indian government recognize diaspora? And there's a comment. Grimicha is not considered part of diaspora. What are they considered as? So 2 questions. Does the Indian government recognize the diaspora? And the other one is, Grimicha is not considered part of diaspora. What are they considered as? So I have some room for maybe 2 or 3 questions, and then after, or comments.
Right. So this is Vishnu Bisram, New York.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Dr. Tara Singh.
Yeah,
Sorry, Dr. Kumar. This is Dave Goldstein.
All right. Okay. Dave and then Vishnu. Dave and then Vishnu.
Okay,
Go ahead. Yeah.
From this is Dave Goldstein from New York, but I'm in Trinidad right now listening in. And I think I want to add one tidbit to that we began in 1989 at Picopio talking about diaspora, and it later on became a vogue word. And someone asked a question a while ago about India and its relationship with the diaspora. We go back to a book written by Dr. Bastien Mongrou called Benevolent India. And we have raised many battles on that subject in New York. And back in 2005, when we had Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, Minister Ravi, then the Minister of NRI PIO, and the first acknowledgement publicly came out in Mumbai at the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, where it was agreed that the Indian government will start cataloging the number of us living around the world. Let me comment one quick thing on the why the diaspora people migrate out of northern India. I have traveled that area many, many times with India rail map. And we may want to look at that map very carefully, especially in academic people. There's a train that goes from Hyderbad and Lucknow to Calcutta. And a lot of our people who came to the Caribbean came through that route. And most of the cities, the left one, along the railroad track, were railroad towns. And later on, those who went to Fiji left from Chennai and whatnot. So there's a whole developing story in tracing our roots. And I would like to ask the good Professor Das what his finding came up with regards to why they left on different parts of India.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. There is, I will take one last question from the chat. That is,
so Vishnu Bisram here. So I'm not answering any questions. I'm just making a point. I'll leave the answers to the esteemed speakers. I just want to apprise the listeners and to the professor as well that there will be sometime later this, well, probably next month, they will start a diaspora center at BHU, Banaras Hindu University of Varanasi. I'm working with a colleague there and a few other professors from other parts of India to start this center. Actually, I think from tomorrow, the center will be established, but a formal decision will come later on next month. And in addition to that center, there will also be the launch of a journal, the Journal of Studies on Indian Diaspora, that will take off sometime in December. So, Professor Ujjal Ravidas, we will call upon you to make the contribution as well. In fact, I think I sent him an invitation.
Yes,
that's all. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wonderful contribution.
Do you have enough? You have time for one more comment?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make a comment.
Can you please identify yourself? Can you please identify yourself?
Dr. Satbalkaran Singh. I simply can't get my name on there, but I want to make a quick comment. One, I have a study center. They have entertained people speaking on diaspora. That's one. Also, as Vishnu has indicated, 3 years ago, I lectured at the University of Banaras, and they had indicated they were going to start. Last year, there was a new diaspora center at the University of Magad, right? So they have actually initiated a diaspora, and they are looking for people who could come and speak on it and donate books for the University of Magad, that diaspora. Now, between 2007 and 2009, I visited the University of Goa twice. They did have a diaspora center there, as Dr. Ravidas had said, and they did assist me in doing research, comparative research on Carnival in Goa and Trinidad. So this is very important to know. And then, of course, Dr. Atanu has indicated what they are doing there, but I have visited and they're really very dynamic, and I have lectured there with him, at that university on diaspora and diaspora studies.
Okay,
Thank
you. So that was the last question, comment. I will take one more from the chat box. That is by Indira Ramprasad. The question is there research undertaken in India on the Caribbean diaspora? If so, where? So now we have about 15 minutes. I would like to ask the presenters to respond to the questions. There are a lot of questions and comments. Each presenter has about 6 minutes. Dr. Kumar, that's fine? 6 minutes?
Sure,
yes?
sure.
6 minutes to address those comments, questions, and contributions. The floor is yours. We would like to ask Dr. Ujal first to start.
Thank you. I got some good questions and comments. So first, let me say about the corruption issue, because see, I'm not generalizing that. And I spoke, it's a very sensitive issue. I acknowledge that. But that I have indicated that I am speaking that at the level of impression. And the correlation that I am taking from there is, you see the why we have diaspora study centers in other parts of India. Those parts of India where you have that are considered relatively wealthy. And from there, people have gone to the European countries, from America, from Canada, from Australia. So that is, they also have a kind of source coming back and the linkage from both the sides. So which I think has not happened effectively in the north part. And also the educational level, educational facilities do matter. And I understand that from the UP, Bihar and the Jharkhand, that part of India, the facility in terms of education is not that better. And probably that is also responsible. When you have a better education facility, that also produces the diaspora of recent origin, and that help to develop the linkages, so which is very weak. Then I think the word diaspora, I'm sorry, my video had stopped automatically, so I'm not able to come on video mode. The term diaspora, I think is still in India, when we use the term diaspora, then I don't think that we keep the diaspora, Indian diaspora and Caribbean and Pacific in the core of that. I think they are of still peripheral importance. So that is what I can quickly say. And somebody was asking on Patan. Yes, I use the word Patan. There is a university in Patan, Gujarat, and they also have a diaspora study centers. But I have not included because I could not locate a website. But they are also functioning. In 2008, they had a seminar. So that information is available online. Yeah, now if Professor Mahapatra can pitch in and respond to some of the questions.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Dr.
Well,
Javan.
thank you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ujwal, and nice to see after a long time in the virtual Dr. Satnaran Balkan Singh, who has been an inspiration to our center, personally to me as well, and other dignitaries I could see, the expert on various aspects of diaspora. To respond to the questions asked by Bishan Ram, I could see, I don't see his video now. As far as diaspora, whether we include Germity as indentured labor as a diaspora, Indian diaspora or not. It is certainly, because as what we know from diaspora, the conceptual understanding of diaspora is to become a diaspora, one need to have a migration from one place to another. So those who have migrated, the Indian government has classified it as those people of Indian origin and NRIs all put together as Indian diaspora. Whether it is a new diaspora or classical diaspora or the old diaspora or whatever the diasporic route is concerned. And government has clearly defined. One more thing, important thing, which I just wanted to mention here is, for years, diaspora was not given due consent and due concern. And it is only in the 2000 with the under the leadership of Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who could specifically worked on diaspora. As a result, we could see the Pravasi Bharati Divas, Indian diaspora. And that's the first time, as per the Sangvi report, in the diaspora, the number of people diaspora living across the world has been identified, and a census sort of thing was conducted. So with nearly 40 million diaspora, India has a certain power, and India needs to look into the diasporic power. And the focus mainly, diaspora being very varied, is a very multidisciplinary approach. So we should focus, rather we have been also focusing on different aspects of Indian diaspora, on transnational identity and media and diaspora and the transnational media, how the transnational media is working, and the new media, particularly with the advent of social media, how it has been used and taken up by the Indian diasporic group. Then the foreign policy and diaspora, as I said in my speech, regarding the soft power and also the global diaspora. In my center, particularly Center for Diaspora Studies, we do not confine to only Indian diaspora, rather we have been working, and students are also working on different diasporic group. For instance, German diaspora. One student is doing PhD on German diaspora. One student is doing research on Chinese diaspora as well. So there is a support, there is a comparative studies also, and all students are working. But as far as MA program is concerned, let me clear Dr. Virtual, because only in two centers, particularly in Center for Diaspora Studies and Migration Diaspora Studies in Wardha and Gujarat University, they are offering MA programs. None of the center offers MA program, neither BA program, only research programs are being offered. And there are small centers which used to work earlier, as it was questioned by Professor Keshav in Patan and also in Anand. In Patan University, that is in Gujarat, that center was visible for quite a long time, but for last 5 or 6 years, it has not been carrying out any. I don't know much about it, but it is not that vibrant as far as other diaspora center is concerned. And also one professor who has been working, though there is not a direct diaspora center, in Anand, in Sardar Patel University in Anand, Gujarat. So there are in many places also, though there is no directly name in diaspora, but some people are working on diaspora. Some people are also working on what you call diaspora literature also, because I have been to different seminars and workshops. I was invited recently to Udaipur, Mohanlal Sukhadia University in Udaipur, Rajasthan. They are also working on diaspora, and particularly they are focusing on literature, because the diaspora is being looked after by the professor of literature there. So in different parts of the country, in India, the diaspora is being taught in very different manner, though it is somewhere it is very visible, somewhere it is not visible. But it is certainly our collective responsibility to work hard to focus on different diasporic centers across India. And I'm glad to see and know that Professor Vishnu has informed that soon in BHU, they're going to start maybe tomorrow or day after. So it is a wonderful initiative, because the more center we have, then the more number of research output will come in. And secondly, what important thing is, we have planned, not from the center, rather a volunteer group in Delhi, and where I'm also a consulting editor. We are starting a diasporic magazine, Namaste Bharat, every month. Namaste Bharat, soon it would be launched in January 9 during this Pravasi Bharati Divas. And also we are planning to launch a research journal, maybe on the same day, on diasporic issue. So there are many work, particularly as far as research journals are concerned. There are two important research journals which are being published that is listed also in Scopus. One is South Asian Diaspora and another is Diaspora Studies. These are two looked after by Center for Diaspora Studies in Hyderabad by South Asian Diaspora. That is one research journal, and other is Diaspora Studies by Professor Rajay Dubey in JNU. So people are working, and I could anticipate that more research work would be done periodically. And as far as my center is concerned, let me tell you one more important information on how best we can, spread our wings, particularly to different centers, different schools. In our center also, as a part of our optional courses under the CVCS system, we offer five optional papers, optional subjects to international relations students, to literature students, and to School of Social Science students. So this way my point of argument is this way we can also reach to different stream, particularly by offering different optional papers wherever we are. Suppose I am working on media and diaspora, I offer a subject paper on media and diaspora, and people from journalism, mass communication background, all in international relations, all in social science students, they can also opt for this. By that, people, those who are studying different subjects, particularly in social science, they can also get to know about what diaspora is all about. Some introductory paper also we are offering to language students, particularly undergraduate students, and people, the undergraduate students in BA in German, because we offer BA in German and BA in Chinese studies also, and MA program also, and they also take optional papers. So the diaspora, as I said, diaspora is a study, as a stream. It is also day by day increasing and reaching to maximum people, maximum centers, maximum the mainstream subjects. Then only people will get to work, they get to know and try to link up with others. For instance, diaspora is, as I said earlier, it is not confined to only diaspora and sociology. It is open to anthropology, it is open to economics. Everywhere it can be linked up. So that way we can contribute immensely, because I'm happy to see people, those who are still working, and happy to see such kind of platforms are on. So that is on. So we see in a very good future studies of diaspora, and maybe within a year or two in India as well as abroad, we'll have more number of centers and more number of experts coming up. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. If I'm allowed to add to that, I mean, that is the reason that I was emphasizing on the point that we should also look at the other universities where there cannot be a center on diaspora studies, but they may have been doing massive work and may not be known to us through the websites or the name by itself, and the whole universities that we have. And I would request, we have Professor Samaru here, who has, I mean, a long association with India and different kinds of centers, and the work that he has done. If you could comment a bit on the topic that we are talking in terms of the centers, diaspora studies centers, and looking beyond that, and the lack of diaspora study centers in the GIRMIT homeland, if I say so.
Okay. Thank you, presenters, for responding to the questions and comments. I have a small request here. This is Charlene Maharaj. She would like to say something. Charlene, are you there?
Hi, Kirti. Namaste, everyone. Good job again. I just want to point out something that Mr. Mahopatra mentioned about soft power and the Indian diaspora. A Chinese friend of mine mentioned, and it jogged this memory. He said to me, China looks at every person that's a Chinese that is a part of their diaspora as almost a walking embassy in every other country. And that is how they look at their diaspora community as a walking embassy for their country and a prouder world. And what you mentioned about soft power spoke to that in my mind, and I just wanted to share that with.
Thank you, Charlene.
Can I just
All right,
respond to what
everyone, you have
Charlene said? And it
very
is so
short.
rightly pointed out, because the Chinese diaspora, they have a vibrant presence also, but as compared to Indian diaspora, the trust and the belief of the host lands particularly are more as compared to Chinese diaspora. Particularly if you look at after this independent outbreak of this pandemic, so now the people are a little suspicious about their presence and about their activities. But as far as India is concerned, India's past glory and past what you call present projection has never been to neither cultural imperialism nor in economic imperialism. So economical imperialism. So the soft power, as far as India is concerned, it is a very vibrant one, and we have championed in terms of reaching out to people and different communities across the world. For instance, if you look at the why I'm saying soft power, what is very important. So in this global pandemic also, we see the people from the different dignitaries at the head of the nation that started doing namaste, and they started practicing yoga. This yoga day, under the leadership of Narendra Modi. So the yoga day has started. So there are a lot many things. Ayurveda, a lot many things which has been projected as which can be projected and which is being rather also projected as a soft power. Precisely this because the soft power it is a cultural ambassadors in all Indian diasporas are there. And secondly, what I just forgot to respond one one comment by someone who talked about whether in the centers they're working on Caribbean issues on Indian diaspora and Caribbeans. Yes, in my center, one faculty member, and I think Dr. Satyanarayan Balkaran Singh is also he knows it. Dr. Shivshankar Manti, who is specifically working on Caribbean diaspora, and 2 students, they have done their MPhil research on Caribbean issues of Indian diaspora and Caribbeans. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor. All right, it's 10 p.m. in Suriname. We will end here. Thanks to all of you. I will now hand over to Dr. Kumar to bring the curtains to a close. Dr. Kumar.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kirti Algu from Suriname, for being an excellent moderator once again. We hope to have you more often once you're available. Thank you all for taking the time and making the effort to participate. At this time, you could be doing so many things other than just being in, other than the party joining us. Thanks especially to the presenters. Thanks to the advisory and planning team behind me. This is a team effort directed by people in Indian diaspora. Dr. Betoram Ramharak, who is on tonight, who joined us, but he was silent. And Dr. Vishnu Bishram from New York. Brian Ramphal from California, who was there also. Cliff Rajkumar from Canada. Ravi Dev from Guyana, who was not here tonight. Sat Sukhdev from Trinidad. Leon Brunnings from Suriname, who has been very helpful from the Suriname point of view, and many, many others. As I've said before, this is a meeting being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, and we publish books and magazines and reports, so bear in mind if you have to do so. This meeting is held every Sunday at this time. Make sure you join us. If you don't get a link to us, then you can view us through the Facebook page of Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center Company Limited. There are many people who are looking at us and listening to us through that channel, through our Facebook page. And you can also feel free to suggest topics for discussion. You may want to offer yourself as a presenter or a discussant on a panel. And you may want to organize an entire panel in itself. This platform is ours as well as yours. Now, tonight we were supposed to have the topic on the the topic on the Indian influence in the Rastafari movement in Jamaica. But our presenter, Dr. Linda Anusho, got a flight from Europe to return home in the United States. So she is on an aircraft now. And when she returns home to the United States, she has to self-quarantine. So we wouldn't even have her for the next Sunday. So next Sunday, we are going to have the topic, the Indians in Barbados, being presented with a lot of images and videos and so on by Sabir Nakuda and his panel of speakers. And his presentation is going to be based on his book that has recently been launched in Kindle format. And his book is entitled From Bengal to Barbados. So that's on definitely for next Sunday. So thanks to all of you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe. Enjoy the rest of the day or the night, depending on your time zone. Bye and take care. Until next Sunday, same time. Bye, 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 and may God bless you all. Thanks very much.
Can I speak 1 minute to announcement? We are going to celebrate Keshav Patel from Los Angeles. I have to announce that on October 31st is the birthday of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India, first Deputy Prime Minister. I am celebrating his birthday since last 12 years. We are going to celebrate globally on webinar Zoom. So more than 10 countries are going to participate. UK, South Africa, India, Trinidad, Singapore, Japan, Australia, and your country also. So please join with us.
Yes, thank you. Send the list and we will share.
Yeah,
send the link and we will share. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so we are going to formally close now. Thank you all again, and may God bless you all.
I have given my email so anybody can contact me if required.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good job, Dr. Mahavir.
Thank you. It's a team effort. Thank
Engage
you.
as well as live and active. That's our task, and that is what we are.
Okay.
Have a nice day, everybody. Good evening, good night.